Hello everyone, we are going to be making a new account for Warframe because in both my stream chat and on my YouTube comments whenever I'm covering Warframe, people say that they want to get into the game but they're either overwhelmed, confused, don't know what to do, or they just jumped in at a bad time where the new quality of life changes haven't been implemented. So this video is going to kind of serve as a guide to newer players, but we're kind of setting ourselves a goal of when to kind of hang it up, so that's going to be us getting to Warframe 1999. So we're not exactly going to be trying to speed run our way to 1999, but the objective of this video is to get to Warframe 1999. So enjoy. Okay, so we get choice between 3 frames, and yeah, you can obviously get all 3 of these guys in game. Like, you're not limited. This is just who you're starting with. And because you can get all 3 of these guys, we're gonna go with Excalibur. Because Mag and Volt are way less of a hassle to get, in my opinion. So we're gonna go with Excalibur here to start. Even though if I were to choose purely based off of who I want to play the most, I would choose Volt. But we can get Volt pretty easily after joining a clan. So we're going to go with Excalibur off the start here. Not only because he's the poster child, but because he's also the hardest of these 3 to get. Yeah, we'll go over abilities and everything once we actually get into the swing of things. So my face cam isn't the best spot for this section of the stream, so for this part of the video it's going to remain there, and you're not really going to be missing out on too many essential things with it being down there, other than when I pick up rare mods or something of the sort. New account, why? We are doing a video on how long it takes for people to get to 1999 from fresh, and it's also going to serve as a guide for people that are getting into the game. Okay, so, wait, are these actually the default controls now? Or did it just save my keybinds from my main account? Okay, well anyways, quick explanation of movement, because movement is key in this game. You're not going to be doing much sprinting. There's a few times where you are going to be sprinting, but for 99% of the game, your main method of traversal is going to be through sliding and jumping. And that's called a bullet jump. And this is how you're going to get around the game 90% of the time. And you can do a bunch of combinations of jumps and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of tech you can throw into a bullet jump to get farther. So, like, this is just a regular bullet jump. This is where I am. And then if I were to do like a full bullet jump, in my opinion, it would be this. So get a little bit farther than just a regular bullet jump, but that's incorporating like a bullet jump, a double jump, a roll, an aim glide, a lot of things all together to get your jump going a maximum distance. Oh, and we're absolutely going to take Skana off the bat. Oh yeah, it definitely saved my default settings. But basically, I have my stuff changed around from default settings. It must have carried over from my main account. But I like to have my sprint tied to control because I'm not using it as much, and because I'm going to be sliding around a bunch for bullet jumps, I have shift tied to my slide. So that's why my controls are like that. Obviously change them however you feel would be like more comfortable. But for me, that's just what I prefer to run. And then melee by default, I believe, is tied to E, but I have that as one of my mouse side buttons. Okay, and as far as secondaries go, we are going to take the kunai because I do want a silent option for spies. Not that I think we're going to need them, but just to have a silent option, we're going to take the kunai as our secondaries. We will be able to get all of the gear that we're currently skipping. We will be able to like build that ourselves in game, so it's not like we're given an ultimatum. All right, we can get both of them. Yeah, here we go. Here's our primary options, and we have the option between a bow and arrow called the Paris or an assault rifle called the Bratton, and we are going to take the Bratton. The reason we take the Bratton is because it has a higher potential to deal with mobs than the Paris does. Now, the Paris is an absolute monster for dealing single target damage, especially in early game. But because we only have kunai as our secondary, and Leto's also not really known for mob clearing potential, we do want to take Bratton because it gives us the opportunity to kill a lot more enemies in a shorter amount of time. Look at how slow that hacking speed is. Oh my, the rotation speed on these hacks are awesome. This ship is called your Orbiter, and it is your home. 90% of your time in this game outside of mission will be here. We don't have all of its functions online yet, but before we go any further, I just want to explain what the arsenal is. So this is our arsenal, and this is where all the magic of the game happens in. This is where you can turn yourself into a god. And you have a lot more flexibility in this game than any other game I've ever seen. As of right now, we do not have the upgrade feature unlocked, so we will need to continue. But we will be visiting the arsenal often, as that is how literally everything in this game gets off its feet. The whole game revolves around that arsenal, essentially. We can take this time to talk more about like movement and combat, though. So like, if you're in the air and you're looking at the ground and you do a melee attack, you will do a slam. It's really great for traversal, and later on it'll be great for certain builds too, as it is a viable way of killing enemies.
Is equipped with a variety of security measures. How you defeat those measures is up to you.
I don't know if we're allowed to touch the water there or not, but we're just going to be safe. So we're currently doing a spy mission. This is a type of mission that is hated by a lot of newer players, as it is kind of a stealthy things. 90% of the time, though, you don't actually need to be good at stealth. You just need to be quick, because if you get detected, you get put on a timer before the mission fails, and as long as you're quick, it shouldn't really be that big of a deal. But there are frames that specialize in stealth for these exact mission types, so you can make it easier for yourself if you're really struggling with them and you just want to try to get through them stealthily. And here we go. These are mods. These are our bread and butter. This is what we're going to be using in the arsenal system. Yeah, really good that we got these. And it actually seems like they give you the full mod now. Back when I was a new player, they used to give you inferior versions called cracked mods, but it looks like they might have done away with that system and just give you the full mod straight up now, which is a very good change. Okay, so this is our Warframe. These are the available mods that we have right now. Now, there's hundreds of these things for, like, everything. So we're going to be unlocking a lot of mods throughout this playthrough. But right now, one that's very important to me is Intensify, which is just ability strength. So you can see all of your Warframe's abilities in your actual modding screen. Our passive with Excalibur lets us do increased damage and has higher attack speed with swords, which is another reason why we chose the Skana over the bow when we were selecting our melee weapon. But right now, our slash dash is the one that you've seen, where we just kind of dash forward and slice through enemies. Now, you can actually see the stats on these abilities. So look at the damage, just 75 slash damage. Now, if we put Intensify on, you get 5% more strength, which affects the damage of our abilities, and other things as well. Every ability scales differently with each ability stat. So now you can see instead of 75 slash, we're doing 78 slash. Now we will be able to fully upgrade this eventually. Not right now though, as we just started the game and aren't even out of the tutorial. But that 30% is going to make a big difference later on. We also have things like increased health, increased shield, increased duration, and increased range. And all of those are pretty self-explanatory. But for right now, we're just going to put the we're going to put the vitality on, just for a little bit more health right off the bat. I probably could have done shield too, but it doesn't really matter, because we're still going through the tutorial. So another thing about modding that we can talk about right now.
Finding Vor implies violence.
So, as you level up your weapons and gear, you will get more capacity slots.
May I suggest you access navigation and save your life for my sake?
Each mod takes up capacity. So our Serration here, it has 4 capacity. So when I equip that, it uses up 4 of that. As we upgrade them, they will get heavier in cost as well. So if we were to max out Serration, it would go up to 14. So we won't even be able to equip this in our present state, but we also don't have the resources in order to fully upgrade that. So we're able to put that on for just the 15% damage boost. That's really nice. We can do that for all of our weapons real quick. Hornet Strike as well. This one's 20 off rip. But another thing to mention is sometimes slots will come polarized. So this is called a polarity in the top right. You see where it says 4 in the top right of this mod? That little V thing is a polarity, and it belongs to the Haderaxe school. We'll talk about schools a lot later in this run, but all you need to know is that each polarity has a name, and it's named after a school. So as of right now, for our kunai, we have Anaramon mods and Haderaxe mods. Sometimes mod slots will come with polarities already on them, and if you match the mod slot's polarity with a mod's polarity, it cuts the cost of the mod in half. So right now, our Horned Strike costs 4 capacity, but if we put it on a Matter Eye polarized slot, it is a Matter Eye mod, it will be cut in 2. So now, we're able to equip Horned Strike for only 2 instead of 4, and that gives us more room to put on other mods like Convulsion, which puts electricity on. Right here, we have the option to do a Mastery rank up, and that's because you earn a separate type of XP called Mastery XP whenever you level up something for the first time. There are ways to reset the rank of your equipment, so when you re-level them up, you will not earn Mastery XP. That way, you're encouraged to use all the weapons you come across. You can prefer weapons to some, sure, but ideally you should be trying out and leveling up as many weapons and just gear as possible so that you can get more Mastery rank XP, and this is kind of like your account level. That's what I'll call it here. And we do have enough XP to participate in a Mastery rank up. We want to do as many of these as we can because leveling up your Mastery rank does come with a slew of benefits.
Operator, are you...
Hitting Mastery rank 2 is very important, unless they've changed it, but I believe hitting Mastery rank 2 is what allows you to join a clan, and joining a clan is very important for your progression in this game.
Prove yourself with your primary weapon.
They're usually pretty easy, but don't worry. With Warframe 1999, they added the option, or they didn't add an option. They made it so that if you end up failing your Mastery rank test, you can go ahead and try it again immediately.
Continue.
In the past, before Warframe 1999, if you failed your Mastery rank up test, you were locked out of it for 24 hours. Now, if you fail it, you are able to retry it immediately. And there you go. That's the first Mastery rank test. So now we're going to be MR1, or Mastery rank 1. You can see the rewards that we get right here. One thing that's going to be very important is this daily standing limit, and we're probably going to get to that here pretty soon, so we'll talk about it when we do. I'd say daily standing limit is one of the most important things for a new player, and is like one of the biggest reasons as to why you would want to level up your Mastery rank as quick as possible. Also, this is a perfect opportunity for us to talk about Nightwave. So Nightwave, and don't take this the wrong way, is sort of like a battle pass. It's completely free though. Nobody is forced to pay real money or premium currency to participate in a Nightwave. Instead, what it does is it gives you missions that are daily and weekly. And what these do is they basically give you XP, and every 10,000 XP you unlock a reward in the Nightwave. And this holds things that are great for new players and veterans alike, because you can get more slots, like weapon slots, Warframe slots, cosmetics, but sometimes they also come out with new mods that are unique to them. So like Burning Hate did not exist before this before this Nightwave, and this is a really strong mod for a specific weapon. So they do add a lot of variety to the game, and they stick around for quite some time. Most of the time, these rewards do reappear at some point in the game, so don't worry. It's not like if you miss out on a Nightwave, you're permanently locked out of like Burning Hatred. I'm sure this will reappear in future Nightwaves in the cred offering section. So don't feel like there's FOMO and you need to grind these out. They last for quite a bit of time, so you'll probably end up completing it naturally anyways, as long as you're just, playing the game. You probably don't even need to focus the quests, in all honesty. But do not feel as if there's any kind of FOMO and you need to rush your Nightwave or you're going to miss out on things permanently. That usually will not be the case. I don't think there's anything in the game, actually, that is the case for. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, if any veterans out there can disprove that, but as far as I'm aware, you can obtain anything from Nightwave at any point. You just kind of have to wait for it to reappear in the cred offering shop. But yeah, now we have free will. And this is our star chart. So this is where we can pick things up. Razorback Armada is a limited time event that shows up every now and then. I'm not going to be participating in that on this account. But as you can see, this is the entire star chart. We are kind of limited, like we can't select any of these. We have to fight our way through these nodes. So right now I could go to Cetus, and that would unlock Plains of Eidolon, which would unlock Eurasia, which would let us go to Mars through the Mars Junction. And we could unlock Venus right now if we wanted. I recommend fighting your way through each planet to get to the junctions early on, because they give you great things to start off your playthroughs with. You're seeing the rewards scroll across the screen right now. but they also list challenges that serve as a pseudo tutorial for newer players to come to grips with the game. If you're watching this video, you really won't need that tutorial because I'll be explaining things thoroughly as we play through. But for newer players that don't adhere to a video like this, then this will serve as a kind of pseudo tutorial to help them learn the game. Basically, do not brush these off as they're teaching you core mechanics. But for right now, let me go check my codex. Because the codex kind of serves as your quest hub. So let's go to main quests here. Right now, I can't select any of these because I don't have any of these prerequisites completed. So let's get to work on... Let's get to work on Saya's Vigil then. Talk to Kanzu and Cetus on Earth. That's our prerequisite. So let's go down to Cetus, and we're going to see our first hub world. All right, so this is Cetus. This is our first hub world. It's not a mission. It's just a place that you can talk to various vendors that will provide benefits to the player, and it gives you access to your first open world of the Plains of Eidolon. So let's go talk to Kanzu. He's kind of the ringleader here. So because we're still in the Cetus tutorial, we're going to be given a tailored bounty just for ourselves called Prove Yourself. But as you can see, this introduces you to the bounty system. So once we're done with this, we'll have access to all bounties. And they all give you a chance to get certain rewards. And these rewards are really important. Like, we could start getting blueprints for our first Warframe Gara that we could build. I don't care for Gara in the early game, so she's not going to be a priority. But if we do get her, we will be building her. But you can see things like Point Blank will be really important because that's just a damage increase for shotguns. We hope to get that as a bounty reward. Streamline, which is ability efficiency. That determines how much energy your abilities cost to use. So that's really important too. So we want these to drop. There is no guarantee. It will be random. So this is what it looks like when you get a reward for completing a stage in a bounty. Now, normal bounties have multiple steps in them, and you do get rewarded for each step, so you can get lucky multiple times or unlucky multiple times throughout an entire bounty. We did decide to fully complete Cetus's introductory mission. That way we have access to the bounty system if we want. We actually do this for Fortuna as well, which is Venus's open world area and hub. You also get a Warframe's main blueprint for completing these quests. So we are going to get the Gara blueprint for completing Cetus's main quest, and we will get the Garuda blueprint for completing Venus's main quest. We will have to acquire the part blueprints for these Warframes from doing bounties in their respective areas, but as far as the main blueprint goes, that should be covered upon quest completion. After completing the Cetus questline, we went and did the Venus Junction. It gave us a bucket of loot, and it also gave us a blueprint for a Sentinel called Taxon. It does take 24 hours for it to build, so we will not be able to use it this stream, but the next time we play the game, we will have access to it. Straight dopamine. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. This is Fortuna, the social hub of the Orb Valis open world located on Venus. Up until this point, you've seen me mainly fighting Grineer, but this planet deals with a separate faction called Corpus. Usually planets have different factions, so it's usually going to alternate between the Grineer and the Corpus, but every now and then we'll get infested, but we can show that later. After completing the Fortuna questline, we wanted to make our way to the Mercury Junction to unlock a few more quests for us. In order to do that though, we did need to fight the boss of Venus at the Fossa node. Now the boss here is going to be Jackal, and they drop blueprint parts for a Warframe named Rhino, which we are planning on getting. Now, in order to beat the Jackal, you just need to basically fire onto each of his 4 legs. Once each leg's health bar is fully depleted, it will go into an immunity phase. You dodge the attacks, go in for an execute. You do that 3 more times afterwards, and they're dead. There we go. Now we can go in for the kill.
Finish it off.
So for our first kill on Jackal, we ended up getting the Rhino Systems blueprint. Now to build a Warframe, you need to have neuroptics, systems, chassis, and a main blueprint. Now you can get the main blueprint from the marketplace, but in order to get the part blueprints, we need to keep killing Jackal until he drops all 3 of them. After our first Jackal kill though, we received a threat from the Stalker, who is somebody that will target you every now and then after you're finished killing a boss. He can randomly enter your lobbies and attempt to kill you, but if you are able to kill him instead, he does drop loot that is very, very good for new players. Although this account's very green and we're doing most of this run solo, so he'll probably succeed the first couple times. So we did farm Jackal out a few more times to get Rhino blueprints. We also did the Mercury Junction, and it unlocked a Howl of the Kubro quest, which allowed us to have access to this little guy. Now, Kubros are pet companions. There are different types of pets like Kavats, Vulpophilas, Predicites. You can also have robotic companions called Sentinels. That's what Taxon is, for instance. But companions are very strong and should not be ignored because they are one of the most impactful elements of your loadout if you know how to build them right. Now you won't be able to build it really extremely well right off the bat, but as you play more you'll have access to more and more mods, and these can heavily complement your own builds, or you can build them out for themselves so that they themselves can just clear rooms entirely on their own. Each companion also comes with unique mods that they can only have. So like, for instance, we have a Chesa Kubro, and one of the Chesa Kubro's mods is Retrieve, which is basically a farming mod that allows us to get more loot from dead enemies, which is really good if we need to farm, which we're going to be needing to do a lot of in the early game. We then started our next main quest called Once Awake, which introduces us to the zombie faction of the game, the Infested. After doing this, we're going to see a lot more Infested in our missions, but after completing this mission, we actually are able to get the Mars Junction online and have access to that planet. Another cool thing about completing the Once Awake quest is in a recent update for the game, they added a Warframe called Kome, and it was intended for new players to have access to very early on. Turns out, you have access to Kome immediately after Once Awake, so that's a frame that we're probably going to be grinding for once I do my next stream. Interested in. That could be something we're very interested in, actually. It was time for the Mars Junction fight, and you're going to see me delete this Loki Spectre. I can explain why, but so far this video has kind of covered basic movement and progression in the form of a guide, but not so much in the forms of builds and damage. That's because it's a lot to cover, and we don't have access to many mods right now, so we will be saving that until day 2 or even 3 of this playthrough so we can cover it extensively without needing to piece it all together over time. After completing the Mars Junction, we went to Mars and started the Arkwing quest. The Arkwing is a vehicle that we can use to fly around open world areas like the plains of Eidolon and Orb Valis, but it can also be used to complete Arkwing quests. We were lacking the resources needed in order to build each part of the Arkwing, and the same was true for Rhino. So we decided that we were going to spend the rest of the stream farming out a few resources, and we were going to pick it up the next day. Check on how long we've been playing, so let's look at stats. Time played. We have roughly 3 hours. So in 3 hours, we've hit MR1. We're ready for MR2. We do have a Kubro. We completed our Arkwing quest. We're just looking for some resources to build it. We've done the intro quest to Cetus. We've done the intro quest to Fortuna. We did the Mercury Junction and the Mars Junction. So that's about as far as we are right now. In 3 hours, we've made it that far, and we will definitely be continuing tomorrow. We're probably going to get enough to start building Rhino, and we're going to get our Arkwing built, and we're going to do some grinding out of Cetus and Fortuna, so we can get some progress on them and get some specific mods that are from those locations only. But yeah, until then, that's our daily report right there. That's our time played.